Hello and welcome to the Legal Server onboarding process overview. My name is Xander Karsten. I am the supervisor of the onboarding process and the onboarding team here at Legal Server. Just a quick note, this is a recorded version of our general kickoff call that we provide once monthly on the first Friday of every month. This presentation may change slightly from group to group, from month to month. We do ask that folks do send at least one representative from your agency to that kickoff call before starting on the onboarding process. This is just to give folks who may be looking at the onboarding process ahead of time, or if you had a member of your team who could come to the call but you could not, this just gives you a version of the presentation that we provided. However, this is recorded once. It's recorded off of one of our regular calls, so we do ask that you do attend at least one of those calls and have one representative. So with that, we're going to talk generally about the onboarding process here at Legal Server. We're going to talk about what each phase really entails for your team and what you can expect. This recording is split up into several different smaller videos and smaller chunks that'll be found throughout the onboarding portal and can also be played all together at once as one kind of long and complete version of the kickoff call. With that, we're going to start talking about our team and your team. So on our team, folks have likely already met Ivy Ashton, our founder and president, as well as Aaron Kraus, the director of legal solutions, as both as part of the contracting process. Also on our team, Jeff Hogue, who runs our operations and community relations. He'll be following up with your team at a couple of points during onboarding, as well as a few points after onboarding. He also has a lot of hands in the community and continues to kind of manage some of those relationships. So you'll definitely see and hear from him throughout our process. Ron Wilhoy, our head of support and training. Generally, after you go live, if you submit a ticket or email support@legalserver.org, Ron is the person who's going to direct some of those concerns or questions, respond to you directly. You'll see release notes coming out on our site admin listserv every week, and he writes those release notes. He's also the only person who can be sarcastic in an email, and people still really like him. So you always have that to look forward to. Leah Brock, who's one of our support specialists here at the Legal Server, you're going to hear her voice a lot on our various trainings. You're also going to hear her talking through pro bono tools, also some reporting tools on a variety of our calls. So you'll hear her a lot throughout your onboarding process. And then our onboarding team, who consists of Robin Perry, Steve Rath, Caitlin Tharp, and Darnell Ryans, and you'll be assigned one of our onboarding specialists to guide you through the onboarding process. That assignment and your ensuing weekly meetings will start once you're done with the classroom training that we'll talk about in a second. And they will really guide you through the configuration, data mapping, if you do have data, as well as your go live and your refinement periods. I'm Xander Karsten. I'm a project manager. As I mentioned, I supervise the work of the onboarding team. I'll be both assisting specific groups in their onboarding process, as well as kind of in and out of all the various onboarding groups coming online with Legal Server. This is really the time that we do ask that you identify your team if you haven't already. We look for your team to have 2 to 3 administrators. These are going to be the folks who are going to be doing the day-to-day work on Legal Server, both during the onboarding process as well as after go live. We ask that these folks be on the weekly calls with us. They should also attend those Friday trainings that I mentioned just a moment ago. We ask that you identify a couple of report builders. These may be administrators. They may also be folks who are responsible for your grants and compliance work. It really just depends on how large your organization is. These are folks who are going to really dig in and learn the reports module. Reports is one of the most complex and most powerful parts of Legal Server, so it does help to have a couple of folks who are dedicated to that. We ask that you identify staff who can be used to weigh in on various decisions on the aspects of the system. If you have dedicated intake folks, you're going to want to talk to them about intake. If you have dedicated family law folks, you're going to want to make sure that they really look towards the various family law setups. If you have different folks who work on different aspects of a criminal case, you're going to want to make sure that they're really involved in building out that part of the system. There's nothing worse than building out a part of your system or a couple of parts of your system, getting ready for go live, and then hearing right before go live or at go live, hey, this really isn't going to work for members of this team. So we ask that you identify various folks and start pulling those folks together to create an internal legal server implementation team now. Oftentimes, changing case management systems will really surface some needed changes in your policies. In Legal Server, there's always a couple of ways to do each thing or to address or to focus on any one particular problem. And somebody at the end of the day is going to have to make the decision as to which way your team is going to go. Having a persuasive leader who can really make those decisions is going to really push your processes forward much more quickly. We do ask that once you've selected your team, that those team members not change. Obviously, things happen, people get sick, people's work portfolios change, and generally we can roll with it. However, if somebody like your administrators change, we do want to know that as soon as humanly possible. Getting somebody up to speed and getting a new administrator trained is definitely a time commitment. And some groups have elected to pause or delay a go live until they can have a new administrator securely in place before they go forward. We do provide an accountability matrix, and we ask that everybody fill that out. It will tell us who those different members of your team are, who should be included in the various communications throughout, and will just really help us to identify who we need to reach out to under which circumstances. The next step that we're going to just kind of talk very briefly about is our various phases of the onboarding project life cycle. We're going to start with project initiation and reporting analysis. It really is the same kind of piece of the process. And that's the piece that we're in now while we're spinning things up, while your team is attending various trainings, while you're getting your reports together and other data collection instruments that you currently use. That's all part of our project initiation report analysis phase. Then we'll talk about and we'll move into data mapping, migration, and testing. This is going to be for many of the groups, this is going to be a major focus and one of our early focuses to get your data uploaded and mapped so that we can take a look and start the data migration. From there, we move into discovery and configuration. That's where you're going to meet one-on-one with your various onboarding contacts, and going to talk about how you're going to actually set up Legal Server to meet your needs. Those are going to be weekly calls that are really going to focus on issues or problems or concerns that your team has internally identified after going through our classroom training process. So that we can sort of talk through and think through the different ways to really implement Legal Server. From there, we get into your go live and training, and then we finish out with refinement. The balance of the videos in this playlist are going to focus on each one of these in turn. These will also be embedded on the respective pieces of the Legal Server onboarding portal page. So we're going to turn to that in just 1 second.